Welcome to Open Mic. I'm the host, Mike Balsam, here on Giant TV Niagara. With me in the studio today, we're going to talk about the Hope Center, a Welland institution helping so many people across the Welland area. With me is the CEO from the Hope Center, Jon Braithewait. Fairly new to the role, Jon.
Fairly new, that's right.
7 months. You came over from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Niagara Falls.
Correct, yeah.
And welcome to the program today.
Thank you.
We have in the studio, very honored to have Glen Norton. Glen is someone who has used the Hope Center's services in the past, can talk quite eloquently about it. Glen and I, we met just a few months ago.
Yes, we did, Mike.
Through something called Songs of the City.
That's
you
correct.
shared your story to about 800 people.
Yes, I did.
At the Performing Arts Center in St. Catharines.
Yes, it was a very good night.
We're going to hear a little bit about that story
Okay.
in just a few moments. I'm going to go to you, Jon, first. Let's talk about the Hope Center. Can you give us an overview of the things that the Hope Center does?
It's quite an all-encompassing organization. Certainly something I was really happy to see. It's really called a community hub, and by hub, the concept is that we provide a number of different services under our roof that help some of Welland's most vulnerable citizens. The Hope Center itself provides a food bank, and we've got a community lunch every day. Probably about 60 to 80 people come to our lunch every day. We provide 4 housing programs. We've got Return to Hope, which is a counseling program, and we've got some energy support programs, and overall, I think those are the programs that the Hope Center itself offers. But one of the nice things about it is we're able to fill in the gaps by bringing in tenants into the building that provide other services that we're not in a position to provide to some of our clients. So right now we've got CASN has an office there, CMHA has an office there. We've got the school board provides some programming. OATC is also providing some programming there, and we're looking right now actively. We've got we just kind of completed our strategic plan and approved it last week, so we're looking for some other services that are things that we can provide that aren't offered in other areas, and so we can be that one-stop shop.
The idea of the hub really makes a lot of sense. So bring all of the services together under one roof.
Absolutely. And the building that we're in used to be a number of doctors' offices, so it's really kind of neat how it's set up. It's just a bunch of units that, they're self-contained, and so we can provide those opportunities for other, other services. Right now we're in conversations with being able to offer weekly a doctor and a nurse practitioner in to provide those services, and we've got a number of other services that have been identified through consultations with some of our clients and other stakeholders that we're working to bring in and hopefully fill the center to its capacity and be able to meet even more needs of the people in our community.
How have you settled into the role, and what have you learned about the Welland community? You're not from Welland. What have you learned about the community and the need for the services that the Hope Center provides?
Well, I mean, that's a double question, because there's 2 things that I've learned. First of all, I haven't in my life spent a lot of time in Welland, and being a St. Catharines guy and working in Niagara Falls for a large number of years, I really wasn't sure what to expect in the community. And I quickly came to realize that this is a community that really looks out for one another, and I find it really, really, how would I describe it? It's heartwarming, because we had the first time we've done Raising the Roof pop-up sales in front of City Hall in February, and it was busy from 7:30 in the morning. We were supposed to start at 8, but we had people there at 7:30 all the way through to 11 o'clock in the morning. We had school classes coming, and politicians and community leaders, and everybody was coming just to support the Hope Center, and I thought that was really nice. And then following that, I was at the Julius Hope Cup, which is a longstanding fundraiser, and one of our board members' daughters passed away, and this is in her memory, and the funds go to support the Hope Center. And it was such a beautiful community event, and just to see everybody out there, and everyone knows everybody. And then probably finally, this was something that was really neat, is I was invited to sit in on a round table with the Lieutenant Governor here of Ontario a couple of weeks ago, and got to sit around the tables with some community leaders, and just the relationships that all of them had with one another, and the stories that they shared, and how they helped one another and made the community a better place, really made me understand that Welland is a very special community in the Niagara region.
I think you bring up a good point, because I think what you're trying to tell me in a way is, some of the other municipalities, not just here in Niagara, but elsewhere as well, they might look down at someone who needs that helping hand, whereas in Welland, they're more willing to reach down and lend that helping hand.
100%. That's one of the beautiful things is the support. And they recognize the importance that the Hope Center has played historically in the social fabric of Welland. And so we're very well looked after, and always obviously can need more support, but it's just great to see the enthusiasm and camaraderie of people that look out for the Hope Center and the other organizations that provide services in our community.
Glenn, unlike John, you grew up in Welland, or at least lived in Welland for
I lived
some
in
time.
Welland for over 25 years. Yes.
Let's talk about your story, the story that you shared back at that event, sponsored by the United Way. You lost your wife, Marie.
Yes,
you were married for 30 years.
Yes. In 2015, I kind of went down the tubes and out the door sort of thing, because I ended up at the end of 2015 in a hotel room in Niagara Falls trying to commit suicide with a bottle of booze and a handful of pills. Fortunately, I worked for the region for a number of years, for over 40 years.
So you had a stable job. You had retired.
Retired, yeah. I worked at the region for 40 years in maintenance and road cleaning.
So things were going really well in your life.
until I
Things were
lost
going
my-
fantastic, right? You were
Actually,
married.
yes.
You were in love with your wife. 30 years of marriage.
Exactly.
You just retired. Did you
Yep.
have a pension at that time coming in?
Yes, I have a pension coming in, owner's pension and stuff.
But
And,
that one thing.
that one thing, yeah,
Just
I
turn
lost
things
my
around.
solid person, the one that listened to me and knew me best, because I've got a pretty dark past with being sexually abused when I was younger, right up to the age of 10. The only one who really knew about it was my wife. And when she died suddenly on March 13th, it was on a Friday, March 13th, it was our anniversary. And losing her was a pretty shaken up thing to do. So I lasted till December, made it through Christmas, and then decided to commit suicide.
Marie was your rock to that point.
Definitely.
The pain of what happened to you in your childhood was you were able to deal with it as long as you had Marie at your side.
Yeah, well, yeah, she knew my whole life history, and she was the one that supported me through different things, because I had quite a temper built up over the years for what had happened to me and stuff, and she always kept me calm and cool and on the right track, but when I lost her, I lost everything. So it's
now
all
you ended
downhill.
up. You had a friend who basically rescued you from that night in the hotel room.
Yes.
Brought you to the hospital, or at least called the ambulance. You were bleeding internally.
Yes.
It was a really rough night. You ended up in the hospital, and then you were eventually transferred to the mental health ward.
Yes, I was taken to the Welland Hospital, because it was just on the border of Niagara Falls, Welland. I was taken to the Welland Hospital and transferred out to West St. Catharines, the new hospital, to a psychiatric wing out there. I spent just about 4.5 months out there receiving mental health services, which was, I must say, very good, because I was not treated well at the Welland Hospital, but when I got out to West St. Catharines, I was treated very well.
So they had the specialists, they had the psychiatrists, the nurses who were specialists in dealing with mental health patients.
Yeah, and then they had a OT, like a lady, counselor that worked with you and started making plans for when you relieved the hospital and stuff like that.
And is this the one who said to you, Glenn, what are you doing in a place like this?
Yes. She says, you got so much potential and you worked all your life. What happened? So I told her, and that's when my story really started.
You're in the hospital, you're talking to the nurses, you're talking to this OT, and you see a pamphlet for the Hope Center. Did someone pass you that pamphlet?
No, it was just, I was sitting in the waiting room in one of the units there, and there was a pamphlet laying there for transitional housing, Hope Center. So I picked the pamphlet up, I read it over, and I said to her, I said, well, what do you think about this? She says, I don't know, give it a call and see what it's all about. So I picked up the phone, they gave me my phone back, and I picked up the phone, and I called the Hope Center and talked to Brenda Lanigan, who was at that time the transitional coordinator. She said, sure, come down, we'll have an interview. And went down, met with her for 2.5 hours, told her my whole life story and what had happened to my wife and stuff. She says, yeah, I think you'd be a good fit here. So that's when I, in the end of March, I joined Transitional Housing in 2016.
Tell me exactly what happened with transitional housing. So March 2016, you're in transitional housing. What did that consist of? What did that mean for you?
When I first went in transitional housing, I met the coordinator, Then she took me down to meet a resident advisor on, at that time they were at, on Division Street, 116 Division Street. It was a very large building. They had, I think there was 15 rooms there, 15 guys. And they had an on-site counselor who did counseling, Greek counseling, sexual abuse counseling, and stuff like that. So they hooked me up with a counselor, and I had private meetings once a week with her on a Friday. She came out and did group sessions for the transitional boys and stuff, and see what goals we had and what problems we were having and stuff like that. So, and then from there, we moved down to right across from the Hope Center, 563 King. And I got more involved with the Hope Center with doing their pickups of groceries, their milk in Stony Creek, any fundraisers they had, like they had different things going on for snacks for kids going back to school. I'd go and help out, volunteer to fill the bus. Did that several times.
John, this is what fascinates me about Glen's story, is that, he hit rock bottom. He wanted to end it all. The Hope Center helped him up, and now he's back helping others, and he's volunteering his time. And that to me is really the incredible part about your story, Glen.
Well, this is the whole thing. You got to realize the Hope Center was there. They're my family, because I have no family here. All my family's down east, and I don't get along with my family because of what happened to me when I was a child. So the Hope Center kind of took me in, and at that time, Mark Carl was there, and he was the CEO, and he got me a contract cutting the grass out the front and the back. And then he asked me if I'd like to have the cleaning contract there. So I got the cleaning contract there. I hired 2 people from Gateway. That one is a fellow that's been through the transitional with me. And I thought, well, I'm going to give back to these guys that have been through the program with me and that. And so that's still ongoing to this day. I still volunteer. I do a lot of the bingos for them. I just did a bingo a week ago on a Friday night. It helps them out with, they have 2 people go to bingo and volunteer on a Friday night, and the OLG gives some money to the Hope Center each month, so it's quite enjoyable there. But when you walk into the door, it's a very warm, happy atmosphere. Everybody is very friendly, right from the receptionist when you walk right in the front door, right up to the executive director, Jon. And when I first met Jon, he was an excellent person. I've given presentations to the Hope Center Executive Board and stuff like that, and I'm involved with the Health Quality Task Force. I'm doing a lot of work with them, trying to get peer support workers into the hospitals, which hopefully I'll be working by the end of June doing that on a full-time basis. I for the last 3 years, I've addressed the medical students at Brock University and Master in Hamilton. First time ever a non-medical person has addressed first-year medical students.
John, a great success story here
Absolutely.
with Glen.
Yeah, no, it's something that it was perfect timing for me coming in, because you could see Glen, and everybody talked about Glen, and talking about the successes that he's had through our programming. And I just want to touch on something, because there's a lot of things that are unique about Glen's story, but the fact that he's accessed our services but also gives back is something that is common at the Hope Center. And I see that
Very much so.
there's a number of folks that give back, and that was something that I found really heartwarming when I walked through those doors, and looking around and seeing all people that are not only are they benefiting, but they're giving back and making sure that other people can benefit from the services we provide. So that's something that I absolutely love about the Hope Center.
It's so nice, because when I come out of hospital, here's a whole hub, a whole community, mental health services, counseling services, services, food bank, place to eat. It was great.
So tell me, if I go through a list of services, obviously you've used this supported transitional housing.
Yes.
So we know that you've used that.
Yes.
Food bank, the community lunch program.
Yes, I've used that.
Have you ever purchased one of the good food boxes?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
A couple times.
So we'll
I've
check
used
that.
Mental health services there as well.
So we also have the Housing First program, the emergency bed program.
Right.
Have they been? That's something that's probably not.
No, I've got people into that.
Right.
especially at night when the Hope Center closes, people are out in the street.
You bring up, see, you're just bringing up everything, okay? So you bring up the other thing that I wanted to point out, because one of the things Glen told me about a month ago, John, is that his job really starts at 4:30 when the Hope Center closes. He gets out there on the street, and he's meeting
I did
people.
my suicide watch down at the Belleville Going Bridge. You know, everybody knows in the Niagara area how many suicides and stuff we've had there. I did things through United Way. I've gone and done presentations at the MTOs in Lawrence Seaway. One fellow's daughter, he come up and talked to me afterwards, and he says, "Can you come back with me and talk to my daughter? She's very depressed and stuff and suicidal." And I just went and talked to her for about an hour and a half. Her and I sat at Timmy's and just chatted away, and I give her my story. And after I give her my story, she started to cry. She says, "Well, I've got a story too." And everyone has a story, believe it or not.
True.
You know, and we just got to learn to listen.
Are there more success stories like Glen out there, John?
Yeah, I mean, every day we've got people that, I mean, for me, a success story is somebody that comes to us in, dire straits and is looking for support and is willing to do the work to get better, right? Because there's no magic button that we can press at the Hope Center, regardless of the service we are. I mean, it's got to be intrinsic. You've got to, want to find yourself in a position where you're in sustainable housing, and Glen did that, and we've got other people that have done that, and that's what I think makes our program so rewarding. Anyway, from an employment standpoint, anyhow, is seeing the stories of people like Glen that are accessing our programs, and when Glen moved out, I mean it's kind of bittersweet, right? Because he was living across the road, and we saw lots of Glen, but at the same time, this is great for Glen to find his own housing and be sustainable, and obviously he contributes so much to not just our community but elsewhere as well. So yeah, absolutely, it's a wonderful success story.
When you look at something that you just said, people need to know where to turn and they need to want to turn there. Does it help to have someone like Glen after hours out there meeting the people and saying, listen, when you do have nowhere to turn, like, talk to me about it, because I can connect you tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon with some people and with some services at the Hope Center.
One of the things that we talk about with the housing providers across Niagara is the importance of what we call lived experience. And Glen's lived experience is invaluable to people. I can talk all I want about what I know or don't know about some of the challenges that people like Glen are facing. However, the people with the lived experiences like Glen has, they're the ones that can that have the opportunity to really reach people and make a difference as well. So, there's certainly some internal knowledge that Glen has that I can never know. And when he shares that with people in our community, that makes a difference.
Right.
Well, I carry in my wallet I go to the Hope Center and they give me the emergency call number for emergency beds, stuff like that, and I clip them up, get a bunch of photocopies, and I always carry a bunch of my wallet at night, because I get people calling me at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning because I have a business card out there. I give them my business card because I have a cleaning business. So that's how they get a hold of me, or a friend from a friend or a friend of a friend, or I just got beat up by my boyfriend and I need someplace to stay. So I'm going to say this anyway, probably not going to give me a little bit of trouble, but I've taken a couple ladies in overnight.
Right.
Because I couldn't get them down to the women's shelter, because I can't take them there unless I make an appointment. Because if I was to go on the premises there, being a male, I would be arrested right away. Because I tried that one night and got in trouble with the police.
But we'll be clear, too, you do have a female partner that is with you. So you're not bringing these ladies in.
Well, this is it, so...
I just wanted to be clear, because that's out there.
You take them down. I've got a contact person there. I've got a contact person with the Niagara Regional Police Assault Squad. She's a female detective. I contact her a lot of times because the girls have been either beaten up or they've been raped. I've had guys come to me that have been sexually abused and stuff like that. So I have contact people there that I now deal with Niagara Regional Police. Been to court several times with different fellows over sexual abuse, laying charges, go down, take them down to the police station, down in Niagara Falls, pick them up in St. Catharines or wherever they're from. I picked a couple guys up in Hamilton because they went up to Hamilton to stay in a shelter in Hamilton. So went up there, brought them back down to the Niagara area, went with them, and so this is what I do. I figured when I come out, I got so much help from the Hope Center and from the St. Catharines Hospital. I figured when I come out of here, if I can help one person, I accomplish something. And it was great because when Mark Carr was there, he was the CEO, and he introduced me to the Hearts Committee, which were 4 young Brock students going to McMaster, first-year students. They had set up this committee in the Niagara area to help with the homeless, to serve the homeless. So this is the committee that we had formed. And I've been on that committee through McMaster for the last going on 4 years now.
And that's another very interesting part of your story is the fact that you're working with people in the medical profession
Yes.
and future doctors
Yes.
to, help them to understand how to deal
Empathy.
with people who have
Yeah.
homeless issues, who have addiction issues, and those kinds of things.
Because the last presentation I did was at at McMaster in Hamilton, right at the university there. There was 300 first-year medical students there, plus 5 other schools that were Skyped in. And the questions and stuff that were asked was phenomenal. But I just tell them, listen to your patients. Have a little patience, listen. Everybody has a story. Sometimes they have drug abuse because. Sometimes they got mental issues because, Everybody has a story. And if people would just listen a little bit, we'd have a much better world.
Do you think if we go back to 2015 when you were on the verge of suicide, when you actually had attempted it, do you think without the Hope Center you'd be at the place where you are today?
No, I would not, Mike. Because when I tried to commit suicide, I phoned the helpline, the 211 line, and different lines, 800 numbers, people long distance away, nobody there to talk in person, So if you're suicidal, you want to talk to somebody on an 800 number? No, you want a live body to talk to. And a lot of people I meet, I say, well, meet me at Timmy's here, or meet me at Timmy's here. I've gone to St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, 2 o'clock in the morning to meet people. They're holding a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of pills and saying, oh, I'm going to commit suicide. You go and talk to them, take them out to West St. Catharines, they get admitted. They get the help they need. But that's what I'm saying. The Hope Center was there when I come out because I figured, I've been almost 5 months now in the mental health ward. I'm going back in the community, and I'm not ready for it yet. I'm definitely not ready. So I was very, very fortunate that Hope Center had this transitional program because what I got out of that, I got my Smart Spur license, I got my CPR, I got my WIMS, I got my Smart Serve. So many different services that I received free of charge through the Hope Center.
So besides that transitional housing, you were able to build up your confidence.
Definitely. And that was only on account of the Hope Center. Because like I said, they're like a family.
John, what's coming up for the Hope Center this summer? Are there some fundraisers, some events?
Well, we've got Snacks and Seekers, which is taking place in August, and we're looking at our first ever Walk for Hope. That's just the working title right now. We're in conversations today about what it's going to look like. So we're looking to do some pledge-based events and really shore up. I mean, the need, particularly in food services, food security right now is climbing. And it's probably about 8% higher than it was this time last year. And so we need to address that. And so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And meantime, as I said, we finished our strategic planning, so we've got, to have a look at that and just see what are our next steps in increasing the impact of the Hope Center.
I mentioned it a little bit earlier. This item fascinates me, the Good Food Box. Can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fresh produce. It costs $20, and you prepay, and we have it delivered. We've got there's another organization that looks after that, and so once a month you can get a good food box of a variety of different things. The last one I looking through and had tomatoes and onions and potatoes and carrots and a whole variety of different things, and it's really kind of a neat program, and we sell quite a few through the Hope Center, right?
It's an excellent program, and what they supply is fantastic, because I know they were doing it when I was on Division Street, so a bunch of us get together, all throw $5 in, and the fruit and vegetables that we got was enough for like 10
Well,
or
it's
12
amazing
people.
too, because when you're on a low income,
Yep.
when you're homeless and don't have a lot of money to spend, or
Exactly.
when you're in the supported transitional housing, it's easy to get into those bad habits
Yep.
of eating really garbage food.
Definitely.
This helps to solve that.
And it's very nice going to the Hope Center, and I tell a lot of people that I see on the street, go down there at least, because sometimes that's the only time in that whole day they'll receive a hot meal. And the meals there are fantastic.
Right. Other things that you have going on, other programs besides the counseling services, the income tax clinic, is that fairly well used?
Yeah, that was booked solid. Yeah, we did that this past spring. That's a United Way funded program, so that really helps us.
Coats for Kids, another one? Is that still part of
Coats
your...
for Kids, I'm not familiar with,
Okay.
so I don't know what that was.
I'm also looking, and this is
Yeah.
some things from the website, the Canada Learning Bond Program. So, again, low-income families can apply
Yeah,
for
there's a bursary. I'm
bursaries?
not familiar with that. I'm more familiar with that through Big Brothers Big Sisters, believe it or not. So I'm not, being 7 months is, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
100%. I've got a lot to learn, but I am very fortunate that I have such a comfortable place to learn it in, and some great people that I'm surrounded by. Not just the people that we provide services to, but we have a great staff team. We've got a great board of directors, a lot of great volunteers. So it's certainly a nice environment for me to get to understand the business and continue to evolve the community hub, because that was something that really attracted me to this position, was understanding that this model. First of all, it's something that's relatively unique in the Niagara region.
Well, you called it yourself off camera grassroots. It really is grassroots.
It's a grassroots organization, and the Welland community is very passionate about it, and it's because we're able to provide services like those that Glen was able to access, and there's a lot of need in our community.
Yeah, there is the program Coats for Kids. There's also you go there, you're having trouble with your hydro and other
Yes.
bills. Hope Center there, they have a program there that helps people there too, which I've referred many people to that as well. That way they're able to stay in their place where they're staying, because if they're on OW or Ontario Works or anything like that, their income for the month is very nil. It's not big.
What are some of the volunteer opportunities for people to get involved?
We need volunteers in all kinds of different ways. Volunteer drivers, because quite often we'll get, calls from different suppliers. They've got stuff food that needs to be picked up. So, we need to go and take care of that. We need help in our kitchen. We need help in our food bank. Those are just the higher end needs right now. And then when we have special events, we always need volunteers for that. So, every October we have the Welland Food Drive. We're able to bring some of our volunteers to help out with that. That was my first. I was still
First
not even.
experience at it?
That was my first experience.
That is fantastic.
That was my first Hope
Fantastic.
Center experience. I wasn't, I was still not officially employed by the Hope Center, but I went out and. It's just as a well-oiled machine, and it supports the Salvation Army and Open Arms and the Hope Center, and that's another instance when I got to see the Welland community spirit and how wonderful it is.
Needed food items. I'm looking at a list from the website: cereal, peanut butter and jam, instant dishes, hamburger helper, things like that.
That's your canned meats are also really key. Formula. Unfortunately, we always need baby formula. That's something that is in high need, and diapers and that sort of thing.
And that can all be dropped off right at the
Absolutely.
Hope Center?
Yeah.
Hope Center is located 570 King Street
Correct,
in
right.
Welland.
Yeah, right beside the
Got that
hospital.
right? Thehopecenter.net for the website?
That's our website.
Excellent.
There's a big sign out the front, so you can't miss it,
Perfect. And you'll be standing there.
But yeah, probably.
Exactly.
But no, it's good, because I did a few runs, over the last several years, I did several runs up to Stony Creek to pick up the milk, the groceries. It's kind of nice, because what the Hope Center does, when we go up to pick the milk and stuff up, we get for other organizations like Pork Care and
Right.
Salvation Army and stuff, and then they come down to the Hope Center pick. So one organization helps the other, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Thanks
Well, it was very
for
good.
joining us today, Glenn.
Thank you.
And again, all the best. Your story is extremely inspiring to many.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. Jon Braithewait, CEO of the Hope Center in Welland. Great to catch up with you again, John.
Yeah.
And all the best.
And hopefully I get to do this again when I know a little bit more.
We'll book you in again, for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thanks for watching Open Mic with Mike Balsam on Giant TV.